I was tagged by the Midwest Gardener to do the Allotment Challenge and answer 10 questions. Hi everyone. As you all know, I'm not in the UK, I'm in Missouri in the United States, and I really don't have an allotment. And I do have, ground that I plant on and have been for a while. And the first question in this tag is, how long have you had your plot? And the second question is, how long did you wait for your plot? I can't answer them because, I've been growing since the 80s, when we got our first house in 1979. And then question number 3, where did you learn about gardening? I actually was born into a family of living off the land. On top of Williams Mountain in West Virginia. Back there, you either grew your own food or you didn't eat. And when we moved to St. Louis, I was around 4 years old when my mom and stepdad got married, and there they rented a place and, actually couldn't grow anything until I was 16 and they bought their first house, and then my mom started growing everything. So, over the years, I pretty much just bought seed and planted it and learned as I went. And it wasn't till the probably 2000s that I started researching, different ways of gardening, thanks to the internet. And we'll go on with question number 4. Do you plant a winter garden? I normally don't, but this year I've got carrots growing back there. I've got oca still growing. I've got onions growing. And I have a winter indoor garden, that I grow things in the house. Number 5, your biggest success story this year or ever? I'd say seed collecting. This year I grew a lot of things for the Experimental Farm Network, and the bush and tino beans from Sri Lanka. I collected more than 3 pounds of seeds from them. And anything that grew this year really was a success. And for me, the biggest success ever was when I figured out how to grow in the yard, because of the walnut trees and the pecan trees put off a chemical called jugalone. It's kind of like a herbicide that kills everything or stunts its growth. So until I think it was 2008, Mother Earth News came out with a magazine of putting topsoil bags on the ground. So I put them on the ground and I was able to start growing, and then I learned about raised beds and started growing in raised beds, and I mix my own different ways every year, trying to get more and more ground to where it can grow food. And where my old house in the St. Louis, I was doing the Back to Eden garden without even knowing I was doing it there. Let's take a quick trip back into the past. Join me in my time travel ship and I'll show you my old place. Lots of roses, little squiggles that I raised from my baby. Lots of bushes and flowers and shrubs. The garden gate and entrance had a wisteria vine growing on it. Flashes of light. We'd go over to the hostas. My favorite place to sit and enjoy the view. Surrounded by bushes and trees and hostas everywhere. little elves and gnomes and garden fairies. Plenty of wood chips. Lots of things to see. Whimsical fountains. So let's get back to my kingdom now. I had truckloads of the tree trimmers would go along cutting off all the tree branches, so I would have semi-truckloads of Ramil wood chips, you know, the tree branches chopped up and put into my yard. Right now there's probably still 20 truckloads, semi-tandem truckloads of mulch on the side of the yard, in the old yard, and then had 430 feet across the front full of wood chips and hostas, and I would plant my vegetables in with the hostas. I was a shade gardener, and I had a sun garden too, so as you came in you would see the sun garden, and there'd be tomato plants mixed in with flowering plants there. And I never actually did a traditional, you know, till and dig garden there. Where my first house, I actually had a tiller and tilled up the ground and done a standard garden. But I guess I'm rambling on. And let me go back to, okay, number 6 is the biggest disaster. Actually, you go back to the walnut trees, that's probably the biggest disaster, is finding out that the ground that you bought, you can't grow in it. And actually, there is no such thing as a disaster. It's just a learning experience. You know, things that happen for a reason, and you learn to work around them, with them, or forget them. And so I've tried since we bought this house in 2001, and 2006 is when I found out, you know, we had to move in here and found out I couldn't grow too much. So it was a matter of working around it and learning how to re-garden in a different area. And with all the rain and rain and rain and rain and rain, you could call, you know, I couldn't grow corn this year, and it's not a disaster, it's just Mother Nature. In the past, you know, our ancestors had to deal with weather, and you learn to live without it and use something else that year. Number 7 is, do you have a tried and true crop? I do have a tomato that I got from the Mennonites down here that I saved seed from, and every year replant it because it's the most blight-resistant tomato I've ever found. And I always plant potatoes. I've got a Mennonite potato that I got from them too that does really well here. Number 8, are you planning on adding anything new to your garden next year? I've got all kinds of new things for next year. It's like, I've got many different types of true potato seeds to try and grow next year. I was able to get Charlotte and Desiree and a couple of the, maybe 3 of the UK potatoes to add to my garden collection, and there's at least 10-15 different types of potato tubers that are going to be new to my garden next year. And then beans, there's several different types of beans I'm adding to the garden next year, and other root crops I'm looking at. It's always something new, but I always go back to, you need the staples. You know, I was raised on potatoes and cornbread and beans, and so anything else that grows is an extra treat, you know, for me. Number 9 is, how do you preserve your crop? My biggest thing is freezing. I freeze as much as I can and then dehydrate. I have canned in the past, but I gave my daughter most of my canning stuff, and I've decided I'm going to go ahead and start restocking jars again and adding maybe some canning back into my storage. But I primarily rely on the freezer, and that's how I like it. There's something about fresh frozen vegetables are almost as good as fresh. You know, it preserves some of the fresh taste on most of them. And what's your favorite meal to cook with vegetables? Potato anything. I'm a potato fan. You know, it's kind of like potatoes go with everything. And as far as my favorite meal, fried potatoes and cornbread and bacon and anything with potatoes. But now I have to pick 3 other people to tag, and let me go ahead and just let you choose if you want to be, if you haven't done this already, go ahead and tag yourself. But for now, I know I'm cheating. You know, but I'll just go ahead and add 2 more tags. Let me go through the videos again and see who hasn't done this. But LARK'S garden, Sonnie's garden, and SuperExtremeLiving gardening stuff will be my 3 tags. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great day.